Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are strapping on our fins and taking a massive breath as we drop into a 1970s cinematic phenomenon. We're talking about the 1977 film, The Deep. So our mission today is to really pull back the curtain on this one. We're going to unpack the sources that reveal its surprisingly complex pedigree, some absolutely staggering, almost impossible production facts, and, how one single costume choice became this marketing phenomenon.
And that's so important because you have to remember the context. This film landed just 2 years after Peter Benchley's Jaws.
Right.
And Jaws had completely changed the game in 1975. So The Deep was his big follow-up. The expectations for, thrills and realism were just sky high. Everyone was waiting for the next great sea adventure.
Okay, so let's unpack that Benchley blueprint, because that's really where the story begins. His involvement was, it was pretty rare for an author of his stature. He actually wrote the screenplay for his own book.
He was very protective of that role. It's fascinating, actually. In his whole career, Benchley only wrote 3 screenplays based on his own books.
Only 3.
Yep. Jaws, The Deep, and then The Island in 1980, the one with Michael Caine. He clearly felt that some stories they required his direct control. He wasn't just going to hand them off to the Hollywood machine.
That is a huge point. I mean, he was this massive literary brand, but he only put his screen credit on those 3.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what was so special about The Deep.
I think it was that tight narrative balance, but also who he brought in to work with him. The sources point to his collaboration with Tracy Keenan Wynn.
Oh, the Wynn family. That's Hollywood royalty.
Exactly. Tracy is Keenan Wynn's son and Ed Wynn's grandson. And this wasn't some old connection. Benchley had just met Tracy while working on a TV movie in '76, Jeremiah of Jacob's Neck.
Which starred Keenan Wynn.
You got it. So it was this really tight, almost insular creative circle, which pretty much guaranteed the script would keep Benchley's vision intact.
And they needed that strong foundation because the plot itself is what makes this more than just a simple treasure hunt movie. Mm-hmm. You've got Nick Nolte and Jacqueline Bisset. They're on vacation in Bermuda.
Right, the classic setup.
And they find a shipwreck. A valuable one, too, with gold and jewelry. But the twist is that wreck is actually sitting on top of another, much more dangerous wreck.
And that's the pivot. That's what makes the story so good. The second wreck, the one hidden underneath, is a sunken World War II ship. But it isn't carrying weapons or something. It's packed with thousands and thousands of vials of morphine.
Wow. So they find the treasure and then immediately realize the real danger isn't the ocean. It's modern criminals.
Exactly. The stakes just go through the roof. It's not about history anymore. It's about a massive drug score. The gold is just the bait.
And that introduces this whole human antagonist element.
Desperate, ruthless human antagonists. And of course, the brilliant move was casting Robert Shaw in the middle of all this.
Fresh off of Jaws, of course.
Precisely. It was like getting the band back together. His presence just screamed, Benchley! It was exactly what audiences wanted to see in that kind of high-stakes ocean thriller.
So moving on from the script, let's get into the sheer logistical nightmare of actually filming this thing. The director was Peter Yates, and he was already known for high-octane realism. I mean, this is the guy who directed Bullet back in '68. He was not afraid to do things for real.
And you can see that commitment in every frame of the underwater stuff. I mean, even today, film historians point to The Deep as having some of the best underwater cinematography of its era.
It holds up.
It really does. It was only, truly surpassed years later, maybe by James Cameron's The Abyss in '89, which had the benefit of more advanced effects.
And here's where it gets really crazy. That commitment to realism, it meant they didn't build the shipwreck in a tank. They shot the movie on location at a real, actual sunken ship.
Not just any ship either. We're talking about the Royal Mail ship RMS Rhone.
Which is a piece of history itself.
A huge piece of history. It sank way back in 1867 off the coast of the British Virgin Islands. So you have this real century-old wreck playing the part of a fictional WWII wreck.
And for a sense of scale, I mean, the Rhone broke in two when it went down. They filmed on the massive bow section, which is sitting about 75 feet underwater.
75 feet? Just think about that. You're not just swimming down there. You have to set up lights, cameras, a whole crew, actors, all relying on compressed air from the surface, day in and day out.
Which brings us to the logistics and these numbers. They really don't feel like movie stats. They feel more like stats from a military operation or something.
They're just unbelievable. The sources really lay out the sheer scale of this thing.
Okay, so let's just run through them. First, the time. The shoot lasted for 153 days.
That's half a year.
Half a year. And during that time, to get all the shots they needed, the crew conducted 8,895 separate dives.
Almost 9,000 dives.
When you add all that up, it comes to 10,870 person-hours spent submerged.
Which is, I mean, that's the equivalent of more than 5 full-time employees spending their entire work year underwater.
The entire year, just underwater.
And think of the resources to support that. The air alone. The records show they consumed over 1 million cubic feet of compressed air.
1,054,000 cubic feet, to be exact. It's an amount you can't even really visualize. You're basically running a small town 75 feet below the surface.
It's an insane commitment to authenticity.
And that commitment went all the way to the top. It wasn't just the crew.
No, it wasn't. The sources make a big deal of the fact that Nick Nolte and Jacqueline Bisset, the stars, did a lot of their own underwater scenes.
Which is rare.
Very rare for a blockbuster like this. Of course, they had stunt doubles for the really dangerous stuff, but having the actual actors down there, in the real environment, it just added so much to that gritty, authentic feel Yates was going for.
So you would think that all of this, the Benchley script, Yates's direction, the 5 work years spent on a real wreck, you'd assume that's the story of the film's success.
You would. But that's where the narrative takes a really sharp turn.
It does. Because for all that incredible effort we just talked about, the sources are pretty clear that the film's huge cultural impact and its box office success were driven by something. Well, something much simpler.
And much more marketable. The word of mouth wasn't about the 8,895 dives.
No, it was almost entirely focused on that opening underwater sequence with Jacqueline Bisset.
This is where pure Hollywood packaging just takes over. We're talking about that famous, or maybe infamous, costume choice for her character.
That's right. She's diving, and she's wearing a black bikini bottom and just a thin, white, see-through wet T-shirt.
And that one image, that scene was just... it was explosive.
Instantly iconic.
It immediately launched Jacqueline Bisset into the stratosphere. She became a major Hollywood sex symbol, overnight, and that one image brought people into theaters in droves.
It's just a perfect illustration of how Hollywood works. You have this incredibly expensive, difficult, dangerous production.
All for this complex crime plot.
And the thing that makes it a monster hit is a wardrobe choice that's on screen for maybe 30 seconds.
And the financial connection is... it's not subtle. There's a quote in the 1996 book Hit and Run about the producers John Peters and Peter Guber.
Oh, this quote is fantastic. It's so blunt.
It is. The producer, Peter Guber, allegedly said, reflecting on the movie's success, "That T-shirt made me a rich man."
And there is.
That one line just captures the whole tension, doesn't it? You have this monumental effort, all this artistry and dedication, and the guy who paid for it all basically says a single commercial sexualized image was what drove the profit.
It's the ultimate balance of, I guess, art and commerce.
Or the imbalance, maybe.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Well, it means The Deep wasn't just another shark movie follow-up. It was this perfect storm of Benchley's brand name, Peter Yates's obsession with realism, the mind-boggling logistics of filming on the RMS Rhone, and finally, a massively marketable image that created explosive word of mouth.
And if you zoom out, you can see this film as this perfect case study in Hollywood production. It shows that constant conflict between these incredible, high-stakes, real-world efforts, filming on a real deep-sea wreck, and the simple, effective packaging you need to sell tickets.
It really does. And it brings us back to the location itself, the RMS Rhone. You have this real historical wreck from 1867 being used as the set for a fictional WWII wreck filled with morphine.
Yeah.
And that makes you wonder, right? How often does real history, a sunken ship, a battlefield, a monument, just become the stage for a fictional story?
Yeah.
What does that borrowing cost to history? Or what does it add to the story? And it makes you think, what other real-world artifacts might be hiding just beneath the surface of other famous movie locations, covered up by a layer of Hollywood fiction?
It's something to think about the next time a movie says shot on location. There's always another story hiding underneath.
Always. That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.